Enríquez Ominami today, and he will be showing a presentation. So please feel free to ask questions using Ask the Question button, and I pass the floor.
Thank you. You hear me well? It's okay? Fine? Okay. Thank you. I can hear you. Okay, thank you. I read it. Thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thank you to Michael Schumann. I apologize for my ugly accent. Here in Chile, we are still in lockdown, and I will answer why the COVID-19 pandemic hit Latin America so hard, in 3 levels: the world, Latin America, and my country, Chile. Next, please. Next, please. If you can change. You can help me? Please, could you? Thank you very much. The world before COVID-19, I will speak about inequality first of all. Before COVID-19, the world was characterized growing levels of inequality, concentration of wealth in the hands of small elite, insufficient social and economic mobility, and as a result, a crisis of democratic regimes. After all, democracy is built on the premise that elections will result in governments that distribute opportunities and income. If 80% of the population makes salaries below the mean and there is no social mobility, a democratic process will inevitably lead to the majority voting for candidates that promise redistribution. In theory, democracy and high levels of inequality are incompatible. Next, please. After I will speak about the little social mobility in the world, the pre-COVID-19 world was also characterized by lack of social mobility. The promise of equal opportunity in democratic systems was not being fulfilled. The place people are born determines the place they will keep, they will end up in life. If democracy doesn't provide opportunities, it fails to be meaningful to people. The absence of mobility contributed to the crisis of democratic representation in industrialized and emerging democracies. Next, please. In the world crisis of democracy, liberal democracies were in crisis before COVID-19, it's obviously. The rise of right-wing populist responses and knee-jerk state-oriented reactions against inequality were the inevitable consequences of liberal democracy's inability to deliver on its promises of equality and opportunity. In many countries, people were worse off than before, and in most countries, young people expected life to be more difficult for them than for their parents. The market-friendly free trade approach was not providing the answers people needed. Countries need competitive markets, but they also need a strong state that can make sure work for everyone, not just for the elites. Next, please. Now I will speak about and expose about Latin America. In Latin America, these 3 problems have been around for a long time. First, the countries in Latin America have the highest levels of inequality in the world. Social mobility is almost inexistent. The elites are small and promote exclusionary policies. Russian and ethnic minorities, majorities in many cases, women and the lower classes have been historically kept out. Second, in Latin America, the state is weak. The military is strong, but it is used to repress the population. Social services, the safety net, the welfare state are absent. And third, that explains our problems. Immigration, drug trafficking, high levels of crime, authoritarianism, social instability, discontent with democracies. The economic model, next please. The economic model in Latin America. The next slide, please. Thank you. Latin America has also really relied excessively on an export-oriented economic model. Promoting trade is good, it is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Most Latin American countries have failed to develop strong democratic domestic markets. A strong domestic market is required for people to enjoy social and economic inclusion. The problem of lack of domestic industrialization and technology become evident when countries face crisis for two reasons. Latin American countries have had trouble securing access to health, equipment, and supplies. There are problems of food independence. And the second, in time of crisis, the international system might not work, and Latin America's strong reliance on free markets leaves us out in the cold. Now I will speak about Chile, my country. I come from Chile. In Chile, the neoliberal model was implemented. Next, please, the next slide. In Chile, the neoliberal model was implemented with a vengeance. I always say that Chile is the North Korea of neoliberalism. Why? Because the economic and social model gives too much power to the market and not enough power to the state. The system is exclusionary, not inclusive. The high levels of inequality, little social mobility, and a weak state have undermined the trust people have in institutions. Chile and Mexico have the champion of inequality in the continent. People don't believe the promise of inclusion and development associated to the market-friendly democratic model. They have good reason not to believe. The model in Chile has perpetuated inequality and exclusion. The impact of COVID-19 in Latin America. Next slide, please. I have always argued that countries need three things to be successful. Strong institutions, a legitimate democratic system with a strong and efficient state. Second, reliable and trustworthy leaders, a visionary, creative, pragmatic, and efficient government interested in strengthening democracy and promoting inclusion. And third, a strong social contract. People must feel a part of their society. People need to trust the government and state institutions. They need to know that they have a stake in the game and the power to make decisions. The way different countries respond to COVID-19 shows that you need these three components to successfully respond to the pandemic. Next slide, please. I am not the only one who says that. By the way, I'm not pretending to be creative with my recommendations to make democracy work. They have been around for a long time. Political scientists, social scientists, philosophers, and public intellectuals have said the same for many years. A few weeks ago in the Atlantic, Francis Fukuyama wrote exactly the same things. So I am not being creative, and neither was Fukuyama. But the fact we'll all agree does not mean that it is an easy task to accomplish. Next slide, please. How do we come out of the COVID-19 crisis? In the short run, we need governments that believe in science. Evidence-based solutions are required all the time, but especially when we face a new threat. We need governments that learn from experience and that update their beliefs and methods constantly based on evidence. Our ideology shows us where we want to go. The evidence shows us the best way to get there. Governments must have a roadmap, but we need to put people's well-being above ideology. Our guiding principle must be to protect people and to build a more equitable society. Next slide, please. How do we come out of the COVID-19 crisis? Governments must be fiscally responsible, but the best way to create a healthy economy is to have society with strong institutions and high levels of interpersonal trust. In Latin America, state institutions are weak, trust in institutions are weak, and personal trust is low. The pandemic offers an opportunity for governments to show that they care about people, and they are ready to do what it takes to protect people. That will have a huge positive impact on the post-pandemic economy. And next slide, please. Accept reality and build a better future. Latin America economies are precarious. Our model is export-oriented and based on low wage. There is a big share of the population in the informal sector. Governments cannot pretend that their countries are something different. The government must make a big effort to help the population navigate through the crisis. It will be costly in terms of fiscal spending, no doubt. But there will be positive externalities. We can defeat the pandemic, but more importantly, we can build strong institutions and build trust in institutions and interpersonal trust. And to finish, what do after the pandemic? Next slide, please. The pandemic has also shown that Latin America needs to have the strongest regional cooperation and integration framework. We can't fight the pandemic alone. After the pandemic, Latin America countries should, first, increase regional trade. That will make us less vulnerable to international shocks, but it will also allow us to develop technology and industrialization. Latin America must develop health-related technologies. We need to advance in energy integration in the region. We must add value to our export-oriented model. Some countries have access to the Pacific, others to the Atlantic. Some countries produce energy, others need for their mineral production. We must have a common immigration policy and citizen security policies. Fighting drug trafficking must be a common cause. We must have a unified voice for the forthcoming debates on debt negotiation and pandemic world trade reforms. I resume one idea. The COVID-19 have three aspects: its amplitude, lethality, and speed for the contagious. But you need three answers: strong institutions, strong leaders, and a social contract, a strong social contract. Thank you, and excuse me, and I apologize for my accent. Thank you very much.